So good day, everyone. How are you all doing today? Good? Okay, thank you for that. So, class, before we start, let me ask you something. Have you ever bought a shirt online? You watch the review or check the review, you look at the pictures and thought maybe it's good. Like you wanna buy it because when you check the review, it's perfectly good. However, when it arrived, it didn't fit right. The fabric wasn't as expected, and maybe the color was totally different. Now, imagine if schools work the same way. A curriculum is introduced. It looked great on paper, but once teachers start using it, they realize some parts don't fit their student needs. Some lessons are too difficult, and some don't make sense at all. So, just like how you wouldn't keep wearing a shirt that doesn't fit, we also can't keep using a curriculum that doesn't work. Okay? So, that's where a curriculum evaluation comes in. It helps us assess if a curriculum is effective, relevant, and beneficial for students. So today, we'll dive into what curriculum evaluation is, why we need it, and how it's done. So, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to first define a curriculum evaluation and understand its role in education. Second, explain why curriculum evaluation is necessary and how the process is carried out. And lastly, explore different curriculum evaluation models and their applications in assessing a curriculum effectiveness. So these three intended learning outcomes will guide our discussion today. And I want you to think critically about how curriculum evaluation affects not just teachers, but also students like you. Okay, so let's get started. So now, class, what is curriculum evaluation? So, curriculum evaluation is an essential process in education. But what does it really mean? So, simply put this way, curriculum evaluation is a systematic way of assessing whether a curriculum is effective, relevant, and impactful because it helps determine if students are learning what they're supposed to, if teachers are able to deliver lessons effectively, and if any improvements are needed. And that is the importance of curriculum evaluation. So, now that we know what is curriculum evaluation is, let's explore why it matters. So, why do we need curriculum evaluation? Imagine a school implementing a new program. Without evaluation, how they will know if it's actually helping students? So, curriculum evaluation provides evidence based insights that guide decisions on whether to keep, modify, or even replace a curriculum. Also, it involves many people in curriculum evaluation. It involves teachers, administrators, policymakers, as well as educational experts. So they work together to ensure that educational programs are met national standards and truly benefit students. So now that we know the importance of curriculum evaluation, let's discuss its different types. So, class, Did you know that teachers engage in curriculum evaluation every day, often without realizing it? Because every time you reflect on whether a lesson was effective, assess student performance, or adjust your teaching strategies, you are already evaluating the curriculum in action. Okay? So, now let's take a closer look at the two main categories of curriculum evaluation, starting with curriculum program evaluation. So, class, what is curriculum program evaluation? So, this type of evaluation examines the curriculum as a whole, whether it's a subject, a degree program, or an educational reform. So let's explore some examples. So class, first example is curriculum development as a subject. So if you're an education student, you have likely taken a course on curriculum development, but is the way this subject is taught effective? That's where evaluation comes in. We assess whether it equips future teachers with the right skills. Okay? Next is Bachelor of Education as a degree program. Let's say you are pursuing a Bachelor of Secondary Education degree. How do we determine if this program is effectively preparing you to become a competent teacher? So, we evaluate whether the curriculum aligns with professional teaching standards and real world classroom needs. Okay, next is K 12 as a curricular reform. Who here studied under the K 12 system? I think most of all of us studied under K 12 system. So before it was fully implemented, experts evaluate whether adding 2 more years to high school would enhance student readiness for college or employment. Even today, its effectiveness continues to be assessed. Okay, so next is outcomes based education or OBE as a process. Many universities now follow the outcomes based education or OBE approach, where students are assessed based on what they can do rather than just what they remember. But is this method truly improving competencies? So that's where curriculum evaluation help us find out. Okay? And last example is mother tongue based multilingual education or MTB MLE as a program. So in the early years of K to 12, students were taught using their mother tongue. But is this strategy actually improving literacy? So through curriculum evaluation, we analyze whether students learn better in their native language. So that are some examples of curriculum evaluation as a program. So now that we've seen how different programs are evaluated, let's explore the specific models used in program evaluation. Okay? So class, now let's go to the evaluation models used in program evaluation. So there are four types that uses program evaluation. First is Bradley Effectiveness Model. So this model measures curriculum effectiveness based on predefined indicators. So next model is Tyler's Objectives Centered Model. So this kind of model evaluates if learning outcomes align with curriculum objectives. And the third one is Stufflebeam's CIPP model. So it uses four evaluation stages. First is context, input, process, and product for data-driven decision making. And lastly, the last model that uses program evaluation is Scriven's consumer-oriented model. So it focuses on assessing educational products like textbooks and instructional materials. So these four models that uses program evaluation will be thoroughly discussed by the next presenters, okay? Okay, so class, now that we're done discussing the first type of curriculum evaluation, which is the curriculum program evaluation, its examples and models used for this kind of evaluation, let's move to the second type, which is the evaluation of curricular components. So unlike program evaluation, which look at the curriculum as a whole, this one focuses on specific elements. Okay? So instead of looking at the curriculum broadly, this type of evaluation zooms in on specific elements. It's like reviewing different aspects of a smartphone. You don't just say, this phone is good. You evaluate its battery life, camera quality, speed, and display individually. So similarly, in curriculum evaluation, we assess different components to ensure everything contributes to effective learning. So class, here are the key components we evaluate. First is achieve learning outcomes. So at the end of the day, what matters most? Whether students actually learn. So we evaluate if students meet the intended learning goals by looking at their performance, mastery skills, and ability to apply knowledge. So if students struggle, the curriculum might need improvement. So can you think of a time when a subject learning outcomes didn't match you actually learned? Okay. So second is teaching learning process. So the way lessons are delivered plays a huge role in student success. So this component evaluates teaching methodologies, student engagement, and classroom interactions. So if students find teaching strategy ineffective, adjustment must be made to improve learning experiences. So question, have you ever had a subject where teaching styles didn't help you understand the topic? What would have made it better? Okay, so that is a reflection question that will answer by you. Okay, so now the third is instructional materials. So textbooks, learning modules, digital tools, these all shape how students absorb information. So if materials are outdated, unclear, or irrelevant, they can hinder learning. So that's why evaluation ensures that instructional resources are high quality, accurate, and aligned with learning goals. And for example is assessment of learning outcomes. So how do we measure students' progress? So through assessments. So these components evaluates formative or ongoing and summative assessments to determine if they effectively measures what students are supposed to learn. So if exams don't match learning objectives, students might struggle unnecessarily. Okay? So that are the key components of how we evaluate in evaluation of curricular components. So now that we discussed the two types of curriculum evaluation, let's have a a key distinction between the program and component evaluation. So program evaluation it examines the overall impact of the entire curriculum, while component evaluation focuses on the specific elements such as teaching methods, assessments, and learning materials. So that is the difference between the program and component evaluation. So let's proceed now in curriculum evaluation as a process and a tool. So curriculum evaluation serves two key roles. First, as a process, and second, as a tool. So, as a process, it follows structured models and frameworks to assess curriculum effectiveness. So this means using proper methodologies to evaluate what works and what doesn't. And that is curriculum evaluation as a process. So next is as a tool. So it helps decision makers, teachers, administrators, and policymakers decide whether a curriculum should be accepted, revised, or discontinued. So class, to further understand curriculum evaluation, let's look at how experts define it. So there are four types of definitions in curriculum evaluations according to some experts. So first is Ornstein and Honkins. So according to them, curriculum evaluation gathers data to determine whether a curriculum or textbook should be accepted, revised, or eliminated. While according to McNeil, evaluation answers two key questions. Do the planned learning activities achieve desired results? And second, how can the curriculum be improved? So next expert would be Gay. So according to Gay, curriculum evaluation identifies strengths and weaknesses, assesses implementation challenges, and determine cost effectiveness to guide curriculum modifications. And lastly, according to Olivia, evaluation is a systematic process to collect and analyze information for making curriculum decisions regarding improvement, modifications, and eliminations. So, from these definitions, we see that curriculum evaluation is not just about checking for mistakes, it's about improvement, innovations, and ensuring the best learning experiences for students. So, to wrap up, curriculum evaluation plays a crucial role in ensuring that education meets its goals by analyzing both entire program and individual components. So by assessing learning outcomes, teaching methods, and instructional materials and assessment, we continuously improve the education system, making learning more effective and meaningful. Okay, so before we move on, take a moment to reflect. If you could evaluate one aspect of your curriculum, whether it's a teaching methods, textbooks, or assessment, what would you improve and why? So that's the question that you will answer based on you. Okay, so education is constantly evolving, and through effective curriculum evaluation, we can make informed decisions that enhance the learning experience for students and teachers alike. So, but this brings to an important question. Why do we need to evaluate a curriculum in the first place? So, to answer that, let's welcome our next presenter who will discuss the reasons behind curriculum evaluation and why is it essential in shaping quality education.
Hello everyone, today we're going to explore a crucial aspect of education. Why is there a need to evaluate the curriculum? The curriculum processes presented by Tyler, Tava, and others at the end of the line or cycle undergo an evaluation. All of them agree that planning, designing, and implementing are less useful unless there is evaluation. So here are the 5 reasons why we need to evaluate the curriculum. First, identifying strengths and weaknesses. So these help educators assess whether the curriculum is effective or requires modification by understanding what works well and what doesn't. So educators can refine the curriculum to better meet the students' needs. Second, needs assessment. So this process determines the gap in the curriculum and provides insights for improvements. It ensures that curriculum addresses all necessary learning objectives and outcomes. Third, monitoring effectiveness. Evaluating a curriculum helps determine whether it meets the desired educational outcomes. So this is crucial for ensuring that students achieve the expected learning goals. Fourth is ensuring standards alignment. Curriculum evaluation checks if the curriculum aligns with the national or institutional educational standards. This ensures consistency and quality across different educational settings. And lastly is supporting decision making. The data collected during evaluation provides critical information for policymakers, school administrators, and teachers. This information helps enhance curriculum planning and implementation by making informed decisions. Evaluating a curriculum is vital for maintaining educational quality and relevance by identifying strengths and weaknesses, assessing needs, monitoring effectiveness, ensuring standards alignment, and supporting decision making. Educators can refine curricula to better serve the students and society. By continuously evaluating curricula, we ensure that education evolves to meet the changing needs of students and society. Now that we're done exploring the reasons why evaluating a curriculum is important, now let's move on to the next step, which is understanding how to evaluate a curriculum. Curriculum models by Ralph Tyler and Helda Tapa, among others, emphasize that evaluation is a critical component of curriculum development process. It's a comprehensive approach that helps determine the value or worth of a curriculum by assessing its effectiveness and relevance. To achieve this, curriculum specialists have developed various models that guide educators in evaluating curricula. Let's explore some of these models, starting with the Bradley Effectiveness Model, which provides practical indicators for assessing curriculum effectiveness. As you can see in the table on the screen, this model is developed by L.H. Bradley, provides a structured way to assess various aspects of a curriculum. The table is organized with indicators in the first column and descriptive questions in the second column, leading to a simple yes or no answer. Let's take a look at some of these indicators. First, the vertical curriculum continuity. This indicator asks, does the curriculum reflect a format that enables teachers to quickly see what is being taught in grade levels below or above the current one? So this questions is that it checks if there's a clear progression and connection between the different grade levels. And for the second indicator is the horizontal curriculum continuity. So this asks, does the curriculum provide content and objectives common to all classes of the same grade level? So this questions is about ensuring consistency across different sections or classes. So another indicator is the instruction based on curriculum. So this assesses whether the lesson plans, syllabi, and course design are derived from the curriculum, and if the materials correlate with the content, objectives, and activities. So another indicator is the broad involvement. So this checks for evidence of involvement of curriculum stakeholders in the planning, design, and implementation, and the review of the curriculum. Another indicator is the long-range planning. So this asks if a review cycle is followed within the period of planning and implementation. The next indicator is positive human relations. So it asks if the initial thoughts about the curriculum come from teachers, principals, curriculum leaders, and other stakeholders. So another indicators is the theory into practice. So this checks for clarity of vision, mission, graduation outcomes, program philosophy, and learning outcomes in the curriculum. And another one is the planned change. So this asks if there is tangible evidence to show that the internal and external publics accept the developed program. To conclude, the Bradley Effectiveness Model, as displayed in the table on the screen, offers a straightforward yet insightful method for evaluating curriculum development. It prompts educators to assess key indicators with simple yes or no answers. Any no responses serves as immediate red flags, highlighting areas where curriculum may need adjustment or improvement. So by systematically working through each indicator, from vertical and horizontal curriculum continuity to planned change and stakeholders development, educators can gain a comprehensive understanding of the curriculum strengths and weaknesses. This model provides a practical approach to ensuring that the curriculum is well structured, relevant, and effective in meeting its intended goals, ultimately supporting and enhancing learning outcomes. So I think that's all for my part. May I call on Teacher Angelica to discuss another models.
So next is the Tyler's model. It was proposed in 1950. It was developed by Ralph Tyler. This model focuses on whether the curriculum meets its pre-established learning objective is centered on educational objectives. It asks, did the students achieve the intended learning outcomes? Now let's move on to Tyler's 6 steps. First is to predetermine learning outcomes of the curriculum. After that, you need to identify the learning context in order to construct and validate tools. It must also use tools to gather results, to analyze results for strengths and weaknesses, and lastly, use findings to improve curriculum. So these steps guides educators from setting learning goals to analyzing results and applying improvement. Now, the third model is the CIPP model by Daniel Staffelbeam. Its focus is to improve or provides data for decision making. So for the 4 stages of evaluation are context, input, process, and product. So this model is more comprehensive and ideal for program-wide evaluations. So now for CIPP, it stands for context, input, process, and product. Context means needs assessment and goals, while input, it is a resources and strategy selection. While the process, it is the implementation, monitoring, and lastly the product, it is the overcome evaluation and comparison. So overall, CIPP evaluates not just the outcomes but also planning, resources, and implementation. Now let's move on the steps in each CIPP stage. Every stage we follow 6 steps from identify decision needed, identify data required, set criteria for data, analyze data, organize info for decisions, and use for continuous improvement. So by following these steps, this makes CIPP a powerful tool for policy and administrative decisions. So to sum up, all 3 models serve different but complementary purposes. Bradley is classroom-focused or practical classroom tool, while Tyler emphasizes learning outcomes or objective focused, and lastly the CIPP is great for organizational decision making. So in order to achieve our goal effectively, we must select model based on purpose and context.
Now let's proceed to the third model for curriculum evaluation, which is the stake responsive model. So this model was developed by Robert Stake, and unlike traditional models that evaluate based on planned objectives, this model focuses on actual program activities. So it's like what is really happening inside the classroom, and it highlights the importance of feedback from all of these stakeholders like the teachers, students, and parents, making it grounded in real life experience rather than just theories and objectives. Now, there are key principles of stake responsive model. First, it values lived experiences and unattended outcomes just as much as planned results. Second, it encourages evaluators to listen to stakeholders and consider their insights as critical data. Third, rather than assuming the curriculum works as written, this model asks the question, what is really happening in the classroom? Okay, now there are 9 steps or process in the stakes responsive model. First we have is meet with stakeholders. So these stakeholders can include, again, teachers, students, parents, administrators, and even community members. So evaluators discuss their expectations, their concerns, and what they think is important to evaluate. Second we have is to determine the scope. Now, based on the initial meetings, evaluators define the focused areas. So this could be how well the curriculum supports diverse learners or whether it encourages critical thinking. Third is observe implementation. This is visit. This is about visit classrooms, about talking to students and attend school events, and observe the actual teaching learning process to see what is really happening, not just what is written in the documents or the curriculum. Fourth is to clarify real purposes. Sometimes a curriculum may claim it promotes creativity, but in practice, it emphasizes memorization. So this step uncovers the actual priorities and goals of the curriculum. Fifth we have is identify problems and design evaluation. This is to determine what is not working or what needs for improvement. Then design an evaluation strategy to investigate these issues. Sixth is to select tools for collection. So choose appropriate tools like questionnaires, interviews, video analysis, observation to gather the data. Seventh is to collect the data. Now conduct the evaluation using the selected tools. This step is deeply grounded in the context of the school and within the classroom. Eight is to analyze and organize data. So data is sorted into themes that reflect the stakeholders' experience. Example, student engagements, teachers' adaptability, and relevance to real life experiences. And the last one we have is report findings collaboratively. So instead of a formal report alone, the findings might be shared through workshops, visual infographics, or presentations, and formats that make sense to stakeholders. Now, when are we going to use these stake responsive models? First is to see how the curriculum works in real life. So this model helps you understand what's actually happening in the classrooms, not just what's written on the paper. Second, when trying out a new or pilot curriculum. So if a program is new, this model helps identify what's working and what needs to change early on. And the last one is when involving stakeholders is important. It values the opinions and experiences of teachers, students, parents. Their feedback becomes part of the evaluations. And of course, when goals are not very clear or may change. So if the curriculum doesn't have fixed goals, this model still works. It focuses on real actions and results instead of just checking if goals were met. So those are parts of the stake responsive model. Next model for curriculum evaluation is what we call Scriven's Consumer-Oriented Evaluation Model. So this was developed in 1967 by Michael Scriven. this model takes a very different approach because it treats educational materials like textbooks or softwares as product to be reviewed, much like a consumer's good. And the goal here is to help schools and educators make smart decisions when choosing instructional resources for the curriculum. Now, there are also key concepts in consumer-oriented evaluation. First, this model is centered around reviewing educational tools using clear criteria and checklists, and it can be used during product development, such as formative evaluation, or after the product is complete, which is called the summative evaluation. And it helps ensure materials align with curriculum goals and meet the needs of both students and teachers. And this one here is an example of a tool used in this model, the instructional materials review form. So it uses symbols like plus for good, 0 for okay, negative for poor, and NA for not applicable. So the checklist includes items like how well the content matches the curriculum, whether it includes assessment, how user-friendly it is, and even the quality of visuals. It's a very structured and consistent method for comparing multiple products. As you can see here, this checklist here is an example of evaluation materials based on Patterson. Now, of course, as you can see here, this content are all about content relevance. No, updated information, is the content current? No, about readability, is it accessible to the target students? Assessment quality, are tests and exercises included and useful? And of course, we have here instructional design. No, are lessons logical and varied? And teachers support, are teachers guides included? No, those are parts of the checklist for the example for this model. And when are we going to use the consumer-oriented evaluation model? First is when we are selecting textbooks, software, or instructional tools. This model is perfect when you need to review educational materials and decide which ones best support your curriculum. And it helps you evaluate the quality, the relevance, and the usability of these tools. Second is when making procurement decision at a schools or district level. So if a school or district is buying large quantities of materials, this model provides a structured way to ensure the products are worth the investment, and it uses clear criteria and checklists to guide the decision. And lastly is when evaluating new products being developed. Now, schools or companies creating their own learning materials can use this model to check the quality before final release. So it helps identify areas for improvement and ensure the product meets the learning standards. And also when we are comparing similar materials, example to math textbooks. So this model is used for side-by-side comparisons. It highlights the strength and weaknesses of each product, so educators can choose the one that best fits their student needs. So those are about the consumer's model. Overall, these methods serve different but complementary purposes. So choosing the right model depends on your evaluation goals. And curriculum success requires both implementation, insight, and quality tools.
Alright, now, let us discuss the steps into conducting a curriculum evaluation, starting with the approach called a sample way, wherein this approach focuses on a quick diagnostic check to identify potential issues within a curriculum. A no as an answer to any of these questions signals a need for deeper scrutiny and possible revision. Starting with the first question, does the curriculum emphasize learning outcomes? Learning outcomes are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bounded or SMART statements that define what the students should know or be able to do as a result of their curriculum. A curriculum that emphasizes learning outcomes ensures that instructions is focused focused and that student progress can be effectively tracked. A no as an answer in this question indicates that the curriculum may lack clear goals, making it difficult to assess its effectiveness. The second question under this approach is, does the curriculum implemented requires less demands? This question is asking if the workload put into the students as well as the teachers is reasonable. A curriculum that makes unreasonable demands on either the students or the teacher will create a negative learning environment, and a no as answer in this question suggests that the curriculum may be overwhelming, leading to stress and burnout. The next question is, can this curriculum be applied to any particular level, such as kindergarten, elementary, secondary, or tertiary levels? This question addresses the curriculum's adaptability and scalability. While some curricula are designed for specific levels, others may have components that can be adapted across different educational stages. And a no as an answer in this question indicates that the curriculum may be too narrow or the scope may lack flexibility needed for broader implementation. The next question is, can the curriculum aspects be assessed as a written, thought, supported, tested, and learned? This question highlights the importance of aligning all aspects of the curriculum, wherein the written refers to the documented curriculum, the taught refers to the actual instruction delivered by teachers, supported refers to the resources and infrastructure provided to facilitate learning, tested refers to the assessment methods used to measure student learning, and learned refers to the actual knowledge and skills acquired by the students. And a no to any of these aspects indicates a misalignment that can hinder effective learning. We are now finally on our fifth question, which is, does the curriculum include formative assessment? Formative assessment is the ongoing assessment used to monitor student learning that allows teachers to provide feedback to the students for improvement. It helps teachers adjust their instruction and students identify areas where they need to focus. And the no as an answer in this question suggests that the curriculum may lack mechanisms for continuous monitoring and feedback. The sixth question is, does the curriculum include summative assessment? Summative assessment is used to evaluate student learning at the end of a unit, course, or a program. It provides a comprehensive measure of student achievement, and a no as an answer indicates that the curriculum may lack methods for measuring overall learning outcomes. Next, does the curriculum provide quantitative methods of assessment? Quantitative assessment involves numerical data, such as test scores, grades, and standardized test results. It allows for objective measurement and comparison of student performance, and no as an answer indicates a lack of objective data. Alright, we are now down to our eighth question, which is, does the curriculum provides for qualitative methods of assessment? Qualitative assessment involves descriptive data, such as observations, interviews, and student portfolios. These methods provide a deeper understanding of student learning and development. A no as an answer indicates a lack for subjective data. Okay, the ninth question is, can the curriculum provide the data needed for decision making? Effective curriculum evaluation should provide data that can be used to inform decisions about curriculum improvement, resource allocation, and policy development. A no as an answer suggests that the evaluation process may not be generating useful information. Finally, we are now down to our last question, which is, are the findings of evaluation available to stakeholders? Stakeholders include teachers, students, parents, and administrators that should have access to the results of curriculum evaluations. For this, transparency promotes accountability and collaboration on curriculum development. A no indicates a lack of transparency. In general, these questions that we discussed are guides that will help us identify whether the evaluation we did about a curriculum is effective. At this point, since we're already done discussing about the simple steps of curriculum evaluation, let us proceed to another step suggested by ASCD 1983. So the first step in this process is to identify primary audiences. These initial steps involves pinpointing the key individuals or groups who will use the findings of your curriculum evaluation. Understanding who your audience is crucial because it will help shape the types of questions you ask, the data you collect, the level of data you include in your report, and how you communicate your findings. What to consider in this step is to think about who has a stake in their curriculum success and who needs the information to make decisions or take action. This might include curriculum program sponsors, managers and administrators, teachers, students, parents, and content specialists and other stakeholders or community members or policy makers. The second step is to identify critical issues or problems. Before diving into data collection, you need to clearly define the specific aspects of the curriculum you want to evaluate. What are the key questions you need to answer? What are the potential problems or areas of concern that warrant investigation? Focusing your evaluation on specific issues ensures that your efforts are targeted and meaningful. In here, you have to consider the different facets of curriculum such as the outcomes or the learning goals being met. Are the students achieving what the curriculum aims for? The second is the process. How is the curriculum being delivered in the classroom? Are the teachers using the intended methods and materials effectively? Are there any challenges in implementation? The third is resources. Are the necessary materials, equipment, and support available? Are they adequate and being used effectively? That are all the aspects that you have to consider in this step. Now, let us proceed to the third step, which is to identify data sources. Once you know what you want to evaluate based on step 2, you need to determine where you will get the information. This step involves identifying various sources of data that can provide insights into the curriculum's effectiveness and implementation. Here, you have to consider a variety of perspectives and sources such as people, or the teachers, students, parents, and curriculum developers. Second, documents, existing documents or available records, and previous evaluation studies. Now, let us proceed to the fourth step, which is identifying techniques for collection. In this step, you have to focus on the specific methods you will use to gather information for your identified data sources. The techniques you choose should align with your evaluation questions and the nature of data you need. What to consider in this step is the range of data collection methods that can provide a comprehensive picture such as standardized tests, informal tests, samples of students' work, interviews, participant observations, checklists, anecdotal records, and surveys. Now, let's proceed to the next step, which is to identify established standards and criteria. So to judge the quality and effectiveness of the curriculum, you need to have a benchmark or point of reference. This step involves identifying the established standards and criteria against which you will evaluate the collected data. These standards can come from various sources, such as from the standards previously set by the agency like DepEd, CHED, and professional organizations. For the sixth step, we have to identify techniques in data analysis. Once you have collected all data, you need to make sense of it, of course. This step involves selecting the appropriate techniques for analyzing the information you've gathered to answer your evaluation questions. You have to consider that different types of data require different analysis methods, like content analysis, to examine the content of documents or textual data. Process analysis to understand how the curriculum is being implemented, and statistics to analyze numerical data such as test scores, survey responses, and others. And last one, we have to consider comparison process to compare the different groups or aspects of the curriculum. And for the seventh step, we have preparing evaluation report. The culmination of your evaluation efforts is the report. This step involves organizing and presenting your findings in a clear, concise, and informative manner for your identified audiences. Consider that a well-structured report typically includes first, written, a narrative description of the evaluation process, findings, conclusion, and recommendations. The second one is oral, which is the presentations or discussions of the findings with the stakeholders. The third one is progress, reporting on the ongoing evaluation process. And Fourth, the final, a comprehensive report summarizing the entire evaluation. Fifth, descriptive, providing a detailed account or what was observed and found. Sixth, we have graphic, which includes using charts, graphs, and tables to visually represent data. 7, we have evaluative and judgmental. This involves making informed judgments about the curriculum's strengths and weaknesses based on the data and criteria. And the last one is list of recommendation, which this provides specific and actionable suggestions for improvement. So these 8 that I have mentioned are the parts that we have to include in the report that we are making to ensure that our report is well structured. Now, we're finally down on our last step of curriculum evaluation, which is to prepare modes of display. To effectively communicate your evaluation findings to different audiences, you need to consider various ways of presenting the information. This step involves planning how you will visually and interactively share your results. You can consider choosing display methods that are engaging and accessible to your audiences. We can use case studies, which allows us to provide in-depth examination of specific instances or examples. Second is test score summary. This is a clear presentation of student performance data. Next is testimonies. This includes sharing direct quotes or experiences from stakeholders. Next is multimedia presentation or representation. This includes using videos, audio recordings, or interactive presentations. Next is product display or exhibits. This includes showcasing student work or curriculum materials. And the last one, we can also consider technical reports, this is a detailed and comprehensive written report for a more technical audiences. So in general, by systematically following these steps, you can conduct a thorough and meaningful curriculum evaluation that provides valuable insights for improvement and decision making. In conclusion, curriculum evaluation is an indispensable process in education that ensures continuous improvement in teaching and learning. By employing various evaluation models, educators can systematically assess curriculum effectiveness, identify areas for improvement, and align educational programs with desired learning outcomes. Whether conducted at the program level or the component level, curriculum evaluation remains a fundamental practice that shapes the quality of education and student success.